Black Desert Online. Think Korean RuneScape with flashy combat and a whole lot of eye candy. Oh my yes! While free to play in Korea, over here in the West you will be paying to play, with the cheapest Steam option being €10. But don't fret, it's not a subscription game and €10 will go far, unlike your work ethic with the amount of sleep you'll be deprived of. Welcome to The Worst Review, a series where I play an MMO for the first time using my short attention span and lack of reviewing skills, to see how your favourite MMO stacks up to the rest. Though at this point I should change this intro as I seem to review anything with a multiplayer tag and the ability to trade items. I'm Dying Legacy and this is Black Desert Online. So what is Black Desert Online? Well, it's many things, but to keep it short, it's a sandbox MMORPG, which roughly translates to do whatever you want. As long as it's programmed into the game and you don't want to explore space, live life as a cat, or play RuneScape on an in-game arcade machine. You can tell I have an issue with do whatever you want games, mostly down to the fact that they don't tell you what you can do in-game and expect you to scour the internet to figure out what there is to actually do, which usually tends to be very, very limited. With my emotionally charged rant out of the way, let's make a character. I have an extensive class list to choose from, all gender locked though. For some it's not an issue, but for me it tends to be a net negative, as I always prefer to roleplay as myself, but I shall persevere. I'll start as the Musa, as I am all about that samurai action and I can start as a dude. It's time to customise my soon-to-be Bushido Master, and sweet mother of Christ, the character creation is a standalone game in itself. The recording for this part of the video is 2.5 hours long. I spent 2.5 hours making a character. From the shape of my face to the preferred nipple placement. This really should have been the first sign of how much playtime I was about to ingest, but I was still an innocent child at this point. Once my character's ready, I apply a name. May as well use my own, as I may be playing this recreationally after this video. Once that's done, I'm given a quick settings prompt to choose various settings such as quest arrows, markers and graphic settings, and then thrown straight into a cutscene as games tend to do nowadays, which is the opening for the game tutorial. It does the usual, teaches you to walk and attack things. The combat from the get-go is impressive and extremely cinematic. It's all very combo based, stringing together moves and techniques like a 2D fighting game. And I gotta admit, it's really satisfying. Once the tutorial concludes, we are betrayed and murdered. I am then asked to choose a starting location, but because I'm brand new, it recommends the game's original starting area. So I do just that, so I can get that authentic beginning experience. From here, I wake up perfectly fine after being murdered and get introduced to a black spirit who is inhabiting my body in the hopes of possessing me, and realise I've woken up into the far future. No spoilers. This guy will act as my game guide and tells me to start questing, like any good MMO. All the quest givers are fully voice acted, but this is part of the remastered game experience that BDO went under. And the expansions are the same in that regard, however, this being the base game, it won't last forever. Once I can move about, I am introduced to a cluttered HUD begging me to check out my daily rewards and prize games, the authentic Korean MMO experience. I indulge for a bit and fight off my unyielding curiosity to check out the in-game shop, so as not to ruin my mood, and instead take in the sights following the quest line, and I quickly find that NPCs have collision, which I play around with before noticing that the soldiers in the area are holding up anime girl flags, which I have no explanation for. Not that I tried looking, as I do like the mystery. While following the quests and doing some combat, I come to a point in the quest line where I am actually asked to make a choice. A choice between working for an uptight princess or telling her to stuff it. I told her to stuff it. This is a nice little feature, it gives me a sense of place in the quest line, letting me choose how I want to do things. It doesn't seem to have any consequences or reason outside letting me choose how to proceed with a quest, but it's a nice touch. And I don't have to worry about consequences, so I can play things out how I want, for my own curiosity. And from here on out, I shall only be choosing the most evil option I see. This leads to more combat and more quest choices, which leads up to a boss, which is actually an impressive fight with actual mechanics. He's a big boy, so it involves a lot of moving and dodging, as well as timing my attacks. The fight is still a breeze to complete, but it is the opening boss fight of the game, but it still felt like an achievement. This basically closes this region's quests, and I am told to run off to the nearby village. It's close by, but I still use the in-game auto-travel mechanic, which is a blessing as there's no fast travel until very far into the game, and it does exactly as it says on the tin. Auto-travels for you. It makes you follow the roads to your destination, which in my case I use to an abusive level. Seriously, I could stand next to a quest target and I'd use it to lazily move 4 steps to them. I want this in every game. That's not sarcasm. I need it in everything. With this, I am introduced to my first town, Vela, and it's gorgeous. This isn't your treehouse village you find in most MMOs. This is a full fleshed out town, which has players participating in a fishing event. I will note that down. Anyone who knows me knows my first question will always be, can I fish? After playing for 4 hours, I decide to call it a day. I'm a busy man and I need to sleep before work tomorrow, so I choose to end the game. And it starts telling me the rewards I'll get for logging back in tomorrow. Look, this is nice and all, but this means that cash shop is going to be abusive. But I continue to log out and put the cash shop mystery to the back of my mind. When I log back in, I am greeted with rewards galore as promised, and I just continue to quest. And as I'm questing, I realise that every character has a rapport system, where I can improve their thoughts of me, which gives every character I meet a slight sense of self, makes them more than just an animated billboard. I didn't delve too much into this. I struggle to keep in touch with my parents half the time, never mind convincing an NPC that I'm somewhat likeable. This also bleeds into knowledge, which is a system of information within the game world. The more knowledge and things you see makes the game easier to an extent. Take for instance enemy health. They'll have a health bar at the beginning, but you won't know how much health they actually have until you've killed a few of them, which is an interesting mechanic. I don't hate it, but I'll tell you what I do hate. No inventory space. You start off with very few slots that increase as you progress through the quests. It's not the worst mechanic, but again, this gives me a hankering to check out the cash shop, but no, not yet. Not while I'm still pure. After some more playtime, I realise I'm still playing with a combo tutorial window and it's bothering me now. I want it gone. And that's when I discovered the UI is adjustable and editable. It lets me hide the little tutorial box, but it's open to me moving everything around. Honestly, I have gotten used to the UI, so I don't want to screw anything up, but it's there, which is always a nice touch. I always prefer the choice of not changing anything over the inability to not change anything. Eventually, while still questing, the game hasn't told me I can do anything else. Eventually, I am asked to make food and realise how extensive the crafting in this game is. Even comes with nice animations. Even eating the food is a spectacle. So I assume if I continue to quest, it's going to teach me the other systems. Well, after more questing and more bosses, it doesn't. It does, however, crank the game music to awesome. And I have no scathing criticism of this. I do finally get a mount. The game does have mounts, and it's an improvement. Travel has sped up considerably, and now the game's grind features have become apparent. Mounts have levels, skills and uses such as pulling wagons to transport your vast crafting materials from one town to another, between your warehouses, houses and other properties. I can even capture horses to use as mounts, but yet the feature I paid most attention to was that you park your mounts. They don't just hop into your bag, they persist in the world. Walk too far away and you can't call your mount to your side. You'll have to find a stable and have your mount transported there, which takes in-game time. They even take combat damage and can die. I like the immersion, but I do value my time, and yet I have pinned this to my favourite MMO section on Steam. Once I have my horse, I log off and decide it's time to check out YouTube. Find myself a beginner's guide and tuck myself in for some higher learning. Nothing. Every video is from a veteran who has forgotten what it's like to start fresh with no understanding in the game. So, I do the next best thing. I stream, as I do with every worst review, to get the community's thoughts, inputs and insight. The game has taught me nothing, so might as well ask the players themselves to do it, seeing as I am so goddamn independent. They teach me the uses of the in-game marketplace. It's a player-driven economy, so I get stuck in with what little items I have to sell and net myself a handy 20 million silver, which is peasant money in comparison to what players actually make. And give me a little insight into the enchantment system, which is the in-game item progression. You know, make weapons and armor stronger. Essentially, take a chance at upgrading an item or risk breaking and losing it. And finally, life skills, things such as crafting, gathering and fishing, which requires me to have the equipment on hand to do. So, I find a vendor with everything and buy them. Even looting creatures requires items to gather from taking blood to gathering leather. These all have their own leveling system, and some players only level through this system. But the biggest piece of information bestowed upon me is that there is a game guide that can be found in the game's menu. I won't show it because it's a link to a website. The guide isn't in-game, and if it's not in-game, it doesn't count. So instead, while off stream, I get knuckle deep into some of the systems mentioned to me. I start with the gathering, grabbing some herbs and mining rocks, but this doesn't fulfill me. I have a yearning for the sea, a yearning fishing can only quell, so I embark on a journey to find someone, anyone who will sell me a fucking fishing rod. This lasts an hour before I take a break and buy a house, as you do. Didn't even need to meet a mortgage advisor, so at least some things are streamlined. In the process, I'm given a choice of having my new property be a house, a workshop, a warehouse, or a refinery. Well, I have barely dipped my toes into gathering, so I just choose a house, and in the process discover the game has a looping system, where I can have my player travel a path by walking, running, or using a mount, so I can level up skills such as stamina or strength in an AFK fashion. More grind, but I don't have to put in the effort. I may use this eventually. Why work when the game can do it instead? I suddenly forget that I bought a house and I single-mindedly look for a vendor or other to buy a damn fishing rod from. Failing this, I go check out my house, which I can freely walk into and decorate. And oh Lord have mercy, how can I not? Oh wait, I can't. I have to buy everything with pearls, the in-game cash shop's currency. Will to check rising. I lost this bottle and had a gander. And oh Lord, of course everything from pets to cosmetics to potions, enchantment materials and experience scrolls. I'm not even mad. It is a buy once and play whenever game, so it does need funding. But what does rustle my jimmies is that you use in-game currency called pearls, which you need to buy. But to buy the in-game currency, you have to buy a currency called a coin. And you can't buy a coin in-game. It takes you to a browser page, which quickly shows you how predatory the system is. When you realise, like most monetized games, you can't buy enough pearls in one bundle to buy what you want, without spending more money than you need to. For instance, the first pearl bundle is 100 A-coins, while the smallest A-coins amount is 1,000 for €10. And most things in-game will cost you prices such as 2,200 pearls or 2,900 pearls, which is just ridiculous. So no, I'm out. No more cash shop. My house can stay barren like the wallets of the idiots who actually use the cash shop. I'm just going to continue to suffer in the hopes of finding a vendor with a goddamn fishing rod. And again, I buy a property. You can own many places across many cities and towns, so I make this new building into a storage area because, God love me, my inventory is full. Eventually, I happen upon the central market, where I can buy from players. They have to have fishing rods, right? And they do. So hooray! At this point, I will pay anything, but unfortunately, I am not the appropriate fishing level to use any of them. And at this point, I've given up on a review video altogether. When my hopes were their lowest, it happened. I got a rod from a fish vendor that I probably passed like 100 times, and like any good MMO, I used the fishing rod as a weapon. I can't hit anything, but I can carry it in my hand. So, time to fish. I get a prompt that there's a fishing event on nearby, the one I took a mental note of earlier, and holy crap, this event was bustling. There was more people at this fishing event than every player combined across every Gameforge game. Well, I get fishing, and it takes me a bit to get to grasps with it. It's not difficult, I just had to learn how to time when I press my spacebar and input a few keys, as if I'm playing Guitar Hero. And yes, my suffering was worth it. The view of the ocean, the sounds of other players, and in my inventory it says I have a voucher for a raft. Right, I may have spent ages looking for a fishing rod, but we're doing this. So I go to the other side of the beach, have a chat with an NPC who lets me use my voucher to get a boat. And it lets me name it. Boaty McSink-and-Sip it is. Spawn in my boat, and it's glorious. I jump in the water and experience swimming for the first time, and it's nice. I don't feel floaty. I feel like I'm moving through water. Climb up onto my new glorious vessel, and quickly realise it's not mine. Somewhere between the vendor and the ship, I forgot I bought a raft, which is currently now stuck in another player's boat. So after 30 minutes of jiggling, I get it out and set sail for the blue horizon at nose-bleeding speed. And by that, I mean I age to the point where my nose bleeds by itself after my flesh has decayed from the ravages of time. It's a raft. I don't know what I was expecting, but I do now have means of sea travel. So with my horizons broadened, I play and quest, and I play some more. There's no loading screen and the world is absolutely huge. And before I know it, hours have vanished before my eyes, and I'm logging on to play, not to make a video, just to play. And there's a wealth of content still to explore, from dungeons to sieges and PvP, the extensive crafting systems, and the world itself. But I am going to experience all of that at my own pace, and I suggest you do too, regardless of how you want to do it. So far I cannot pull myself away from this game, to which has led us to this moment. I award Black Desert Online's combat and gameplay the Get over here! Commendation of Excellence. And I award the story the commendation of Click to Auto Travel. And the life skills and fishing gets the commendation of Where do I buy a fucking fishing rod? Screw it, I'll buy a house. Thanks for watching. Like the video and comment your thoughts and experiences with Black Desert Online, and please tell me how to play down in the comments. And subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. And why not follow me over on Twitch? The link is in the description, so I can selfishly use your input in my next video, or even teach me how to play. Take care of yourselves everyone, and keep being awesome.